Welcome to Gate 7 International, your #1 English source for all things Olympiacos and Greek football. Before we get into the video, I want to remind everyone watching to subscribe on YouTube. As we get close to the big 1,000, we want to make sure that fans of Olympiacos and football around the world know as soon as we post big news about the club, and you can do that by subscribing. It helps us, and it'll help you too if you like this kind of content. So make sure to click that big red button and make the number get bigger. Now, let's get into the video. When I think about the Pedro Martins era at Olympiacos, the first player who comes to mind is none other than Youssef El Arabi. The Moroccan international joined us by way of the Middle East in a time when we were in dire need of a striker, and he answered the call better than we could have ever imagined. In 125 matches for the Erythrolevki, El Arabi has netted a total of 69 goals. Nice. And we, of course, can't forget about his greatest moment for the club when he scored the extra time winner against Arsenal in the Emirates to advance to the Europa League round of 16. Boo, 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 boo. But now, Olympiacos have a decision to make. El Arabi's contract is up at the end of the season, and fans are beginning to murmur about whether he will re-sign. He's going to be 35 in February, and although he can still score goals for this club, his play has declined a bit since his first season at the Port. Another variable to be considered is last summer's signing of Tiquinho, the experienced Brazilian striker. With Tiquinho in the team, should Olympiacos be bringing back El Arabi at all? Especially if he's going to demand a big wage from our already strapped budget? Or has he earned enough respect as a club legend to demand whatever he wants? Costa Levoyanis and Kostas Lianos have all the answers you need here at Gate 7 International, by the fans, for the fans. Enjoy.
But I think one of the biggest discussions that is being had right now is about Youssef El Arabi and his contract and whether he will renew it or not. So he is now able to speak to other clubs if he wants to sign a pre-contract. His contract ends the end of June 2022. He will turn 35 in February. There's big discussion going on about his age. Should he be earning a €2 million contract, which is what he is on now? The talk is that Olympiacos is offering him a new 2-year closed contract to see out his career, to end his career at Olympiacos with a little less money than what he's on now. Now, before we actually ask the question, should we be paying Youssef El Arabi €2 million a year for the next 2 years at age 35? I just want to run through the numbers and remind the people what we're talking about here. So, Youssef El Arabi has played 126 games in all competitions for Olympiacos. He scored 69 goals. He's our leading goal scorer of all time in European competitions. That's 16 goals in Europe. I think Mitroglou had 15. 3 goals in the Champions League. 8 goals in the Europa League. 2 this season. 1 from the penalty spot against Frankfurt in an insignificant game we lost away from home. And a goal that he scored against Antwerp at home this season. Costa, what you got?
Well, first of all, Olympiacos fans should be really pleased and grateful that Markus Berg never came to Olympiacos. Markus Berg was, El Arabi came over in 2019, was it? 2019, wasn't it? 2019, summer of 2019. At that time, Markus Berg was Olympiacos' top target to lead the line. And Olympiacos made Berg the best offer by far, better than any other suitors. But Berg didn't want to join because Berg is Panatha. Berg loves Panathinaikos, and he felt like joining Olympiacos would be a spin in the face towards the Panathinaikos fans, who also got very nervous, and they actually, Thira Dekatria, Gate 13, did issue a statement urging Berg not to go to Olympiacos. It seemed like it was very, very close. And he didn't want to join. So what he waited out for at least an offer that's almost as good as Olympiacos, and came at the close to the 11th hour by Krasnodar. It is a very good thing Markus Berg didn't join Olympiacos, because he didn't want to be at Olympiacos. He was a Panathinaikos fan. It wouldn't have worked. He wouldn't be able to learn to love this team, and that would probably show on the pitch. And some crazy Olympiacos fans would feel like he's not here to play. He's a Panathinaikos player. He doesn't want to be here. Get him out. It would have been a very toxic situation. And El Arabi was number 2. He was the number 2 choice. And it looks like he should have been plan A all this time. Excellent transfer. El Arabi, in my opinion, is already an Olympiacos legend. And I think he cemented his status as an Olympiacos legend after that unforgettable goal against Arsenal at the Emirates, which will live in infamy. And it's sealed one of the greatest victories of a Greek team in Europe ever. But that was then, and this is now. This is a 35-year-old Youssef El Arabi who has given a lot for Olympiacos. He can still go, definitely can still go. But Olympiacos are not a Premier League team, which means that the budget needs to be a little tighter, and we don't know what's next year is going to be like. Are they actually going to make it to the Champions League? Can they actually pull off an upset against Atalanta and earn even more money from Europe? What I do know about the whole El Arabi saga is that he wants to stay at Olympiacos. There is a lot of intent from his side to stay and finish his career at Olympiacos. And that shows from the fact that he's received a lot of offers from the Middle East, which at present he is brushing aside for now until he figures things out with Olympiacos, who are the priority for him right now. As far as I understand, Olympiacos are not willing to pay that much money. So they're looking for a compromise on that department. So there's a very positive feeling. There's a feeling of confidence, but it seems like if he does stay, there's gonna be a compromise. That's what I know. What do you got?
I think that there are a number of factors at play here. I think one of the most important things is the Atalanta game. I think that right now El Arabi is in a position of power, but it's kind of a slippery slope. What do I mean by that? He's saying, I want the same money. I want 2 million for the next 2 years because I've been one of the best, one of the best players of this team. He's the best player in Greece. Let's just say it. He's the best player in the Greek Super League. I think he deserves to be the highest paid player in the league. To win the Greek league, you need a top striker and a top keeper, mainly. So, that's kind of the framing. Now, if El Arabi ends up being a critical player in the Atalanta games, say, he scores 2 or 3 goals against Atalanta, 1 away, 2 at home, and, we have this glorious, progression to the next round. I want my money. I ask for more. But if he doesn't, then again, maybe he's not going to get that 2 million. So it's a difficult one at age 35. We've talked about his performances on the field, and sometimes his hold-up play, his link-up play hasn't been up to par, or at least what we've been used to the last couple of years. But one thing I think we haven't talked about enough is that he maybe hasn't been getting as good a service as he used to. Yeah. If you look at Valbuena's stats, the first season he joined, I was looking at this today randomly. Valbuena had more than 20 assists in his first season, and I guarantee you, I don't know this off the top of my head, I can guarantee you more than half of those assists were for El Arabi goals. How many times did we see a cross come in from Valbuena on the left, on the right, and, El Arabi header or El Arabi tap in? How many times did we see that the first season? And this year, we've seen it in all the analysis, in all the stats that we've seen from Opta, the Gesaris Opta stats that they put out on Sport 24, the own analysis that we did, that we posted on our Instagram we're creating less chances than we were last season, not to mention the first season that he joined. So he's not getting the service. But I will say this. When we were rumoured to sign Tiquinho, before we signed him, I thought they're getting this guy in. Tiquinho's a top player. I know he went to China, but at Porto, he was banging the goals in. He was a top striker worth 7 or 8 million, I think, in terms of value. We would never sign him, never be signing this type of player if he wasn't free and if Martins didn't know him from back in Portugal. Would not be able to sign this player. So I thought we're getting Tiquinho because Tiquinho is going to be the #1 striker next season, 2022-2023 season. I'm not convinced we should be paying 2 million. Some people on Instagram, they've commented, I'll give him 1.5 and 500k if he scores 20 goals, those kind of performance bonuses. I'm on the fence, mate. Really, I'm on the fence. What about you?
Well, I mean, the counterpoint to everything, to all the amazing points you made would be that, well, there's Tiquinho. The manager's going to say, well, we do have somebody to fill in for you if you do leave. And also, the Europa League group was tough, but it wasn't that tough. I've said it before on the show that I feel like Olympiacos overestimated Fenerbahce. And El Arabi was not really the kind of player that gave you a few extra against those opponents. He wasn't really the kind of guy that would, have the Cristiano Ronaldo kind of role at Manchester United. When everything just goes wrong, they just, take the ball, take the team by the hand and just guide them to the 3 points. He is definitely at the twilight of his career. He has done a lot for Olympiacos. Olympiacos have a lot to be grateful for him, and I think he deserves a strong last contract with them. But if he truly wants to give one more thing back, he's going to agree to a compromise. And I think that's the best way of doing it. Either a compromise or, everyone just moves on. He's going to find a great offer from the Middle East, and he doesn't mind playing in the Middle East because he previously said that he loved playing in Saudi Arabia, was it? Or
Qatar.
I don't remember. Qatar, excuse me. He loved playing there because it brings him closer to his religion. So, both sides are going to be just fine. You said it. You made a great point. El Arabi is the kind of player that needs to have a good cross, a good pass in. He's a Kostas Mitroglou, Darko Kovacevic kind of striker. He's not a Giovanni who's going to take the ball and do amazing things and just, make decide himself what he's going to do. Improvise. He doesn't improvise.
He can create for himself. He's better than Tiquinho at doing that. You remember the goal against Omonia last season in the qualifiers, or the goal against Tottenham. So I mean, he is a fox in the box type of player, but he's also pretty good with the ball at his feet, or way above average, even compared to Kovacevic. Mitroglou was quite good with the ball at his feet, at his peak. But yeah, he definitely needs the service, and he hasn't been getting it. There's no Fortunis. Valbuena's not playing as much this season. We know that it's been pretty drab this season in terms of creativity. We haven't been particularly easy on the eye. In more simple English, we haven't been really nice to watch this season in terms of performance, and I think that's also affected El Arabi. Lots of comments coming into the chat. Andreas Eladara, thanks for pointing out, mate. 3 goals this season in the Europa League. Yeah, the ones against Eintracht were insignificant in the end. There was the goal at home against Eintracht after the Onyekuru cutback, the only assist he's had all season. That was a nice goal. He is a terrific overall striker, but the wage bill is another issue. It's a broader issue. It's the first time I remember us having such a wage bill. You look at players like Koundé and Onyekuru, who aren't really giving us anything right now. Let's just call it what it is. Karbovnik, we're paying his salary. He's not playing. There are lots of examples. Semedo, we'll talk about Semedo in a little bit. Manolas is on a big contract. Socrates is on a big contract. Envila's on a big contract. You look around the team, it's pretty hefty.
Yeah. Uh, well, like I said, I'm covering Chelsea at the moment, and Chelsea have this rule that if you once you become 30, you only get a 1 year extension. That's the big pickle now with Cesar Azpilicueta, another player who's given Chelsea a lot. He's won 2 Champions Leagues with them. And there's a reason why this happens, is because, a 30-plus-year-old can take you so far. The way I see it, if El Arabi does sign a new contract, I can see him having the Chori Dominguez kind of role. After Fortunis arrived, Chori Dominguez went to the bench and he came on as an impact player where he scored big goals like the one against Malme. I can see him being something like that afterwards, like a Mathieu Valbuena kind of character, kind of role after that. Tiquinho, it was definitely someone that was brought in to become the El Arabi replacement, and he can be the El Arabi replacement. We're seeing a lot of good elements out of him. But I guess, in conclusion, I think regardless of what happens with El Arabi, Olympiacos need to bring in another striker in the summer. Definitely bring in another striker.
So the question is, though, I agree with you, first of all. But the question is, do you pay 2 million salary to a player that's coming off the bench? Or have they had that conversation in terms of his role? But, I mean, we can go on forever. And I think you've said it and people in the chat have said it, that we're looking at, hopefully, the club and the player coming to a compromise. I've read as well that his family's very happy in Greece. He's even looking to try and secure a future role in the club. And maybe that's part of the discussion in terms of a non-playing role for him. I do hope in the end that he does renew his contract. I think particularly for Greece, he's an absolute luxury. I think if Olympiacos wants to be playing Champions League football, which is really starting to get beyond us, I feel, looking at the level of the Greek league, then I think we need to think about something different. Tiquinho, is Tiquinho the answer? I don't know. But what we should remember about Tiquinho is that Tiquinho's arrived at the club having not played for about 6 months. So it's going to take a good season for him to really find his form again. He has scored goals. I think he's already scored more than 10 goals for us this season. So he could be a different prospect for us next season. And it could end up being what you said, Costa, El Arabi having that Chori Dominguez role and Tiquinho being the starter. And then who knows, maybe Al-Ghassim Bar explodes and turns into, what everyone's been thinking and hoping about him. He's been injured for the last few B team games, so we haven't seen a lot of him yet. But speculation, there aren't any talks about us signing a striker right now in terms of transfer window. The focus is renewing El Arabi's contract.
Thanks again for watching. What do you think? How much money is Youssef worth? Maybe we keep him around just to see this celebration one more time? Comment below and let us know what you think. If you like the video, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button below and make sure you're subscribed too. Thanks so much for watching and see you next time.